We are back with another edition of Rumor Roundup. All the stories contained within this are to be taken with a grain of salt and haven't been officially substantiated, but are things that are being talked about in the world of F1 that may be interesting, could turn out to be true, or simply plain wrong. Without further delay, here is Rumor Roundup. Max is not happy. According to a recent report, Max Verstappen is not very happy with the latest developments regarding Red Bull's second driver. The current Red Bull, Sergio Perez's contract expires at the end of 2024, and the Mexican driver has been a vital asset to the team ever since he joined them in 2019. He won the 2022 World Championship and has had numerous victories and podium finishes for the team. However, recently he has been underperforming, and the team has allegedly decided to replace him with the current AlphaTauri driver, Yuki Tsunoda. This rumor has been floating around for a few weeks now, but according to the latest rumors, Max Verstappen is furious over the decision. Verstappen and Tsunoda have a good relationship, and the Dutchman has always praised the Japanese driver. Tsunoda joined Red Bull as a reserve driver in 2021 and replaced Alex Albon at the Italian Grand Prix that year. Since then, Tsunoda has shown glimpses of brilliance, but has also been involved in several high-profile crashes. Despite this, he remains a popular figure among F1 fans and is regarded as one of the most exciting young talents in the sport. On the other hand, Perez joined Red Bull in 2019 after stints with Sauber, McLaren, and Force India. In his time at Red Bull, he has emerged as one of the top drivers and has won several races. The four-time world champion is also having his own problems getting comfortable with the car. Could this mess turn into something even bigger? And what does this tell us about how Red Bull works and what they care about right now? If there is one team that is stuck between two different ideas, that's definitely Red Bull. Now that we've seen the shortest time ever with Liam Lawson, many people would think that the four-time world champion wouldn't be that bothered by this move, because it doesn't really hurt him in any way at all. There are almost no drivers who can beat him when they're using the same car, mostly because of the way he drives the car and likes how it acts. But the newest report says that Max is angry because the team is not paying attention to the right things, and he doesn't like Red Bull's decision to change Lawson after just 2 races in the season. Of course, there would be many people here who would love to guess that it's because Lawson wouldn't have been any danger to Max's seat at all compared to Yuki. But if we're going to look at things the right way, I don't think Yuki will be a danger to Max either. The problem is with the car, which is exactly what Max said in the past couple of interviews. And just because he likes it in a certain way doesn't mean other drivers can get used to it. So, ruining careers left and right and breaking the confidence of the drivers is not something that Max agrees with. And according to The Telegraph, the newspaper that is very close to the sport, and Red Bull, Max's unhappiness is sitting very high. Writing about this situation in a big way, the newspaper said, "One can guess what Verstappen himself thinks of Red Bull's management's decision to blame Lawson after only 2 races instead of Tsunoda. The Limburger also doesn't agree with the team's management's decision to step in so soon. The situation with the second Red Bull seat is always going to be questionable because after Ricciardo, no driver has been able to find as much speed as Verstappen, and they have always fallen into the shadow of the Dutch driver, even in times where how good the Austrian team was being questioned a lot. Verstappen has shown signs that he will be the next world champion when the time comes. And now he is not very happy with the way that the team is treating the drivers because we've seen that Albon and Gasly have found their homes in different teams and are doing really well. A report from F1 Insider has also said that the 4-time world champion is not happy with Red Bull's decision to make a swap between their drivers. But not because he has anything against Tsunoda challenging him in the same seat, quite the opposite. Verstappen feels like the engineers and the team are not focusing on the most important thing, which is to build a car that can reach its best performance in the hands of his teammate. If they manage to do this, then the situation would be much different in the Constructors' Championship, because as all things stand, the Austrian team is in great danger of being dropped down the rankings if the bad performance continues in the following period. But again, I don't think there is anyone else who can get as much as Max can from that car. So, being angry towards Red Bull, while a good argument, is not something that will bring a lot of good results to the table if they don't change their focus on the car rather than the driver in it. When talking about what the car should be like, and the driving style, Horner has gone on to say Max's driving style is so exact and careful, that it leaves other drivers without any confidence before they even sit in it. On top of that, the team boss of Red Bull said Max is quite specific in what he wants from a car to make it fast, and that is usually a very strong front end on the car, a very sharp turning. Of course, the result of that is it will make the rear of the car unstable, and that for a driver is very exhausting. If you've got a loose rear end on this car, so that is where Max does great. That is where he is able to live on the edge of losing control. This isn't the first time that Verstappen raised his concerns towards Red Bull and their politics. We do know for a fact that he wasn't lying when the Helmut Marko question came up during the internal power fight in Red Bull. There were reports that Horner is trying to get Helmut Marko out of the team. When this happened, he got a call from Verstappen's people where the four-time world champion said that if Marko is gone, then he is gone too. Helmut has responded to this with a great attitude, but it also goes to show that Red Bull understood that Max might believe he is more important than the team. This is why the latest emergency meeting in Dubai has gone exactly as the team planned, as they didn't follow the wishes and preferences of Max. There have been certain worries raised by Verstappen about Tsunoda's career being ruined by Red Bull, mostly because the problem is in the car. The Dutch driver hasn't really held back from telling the media how bad the car is and that they are too slow. On top of that, they can't fix the tyre wearing out problems, which is a direct sign that a lot of work needs to be done for them to compete at the front. P4 on a pure race basis is definitely not where Verstappen would love to be finishing, and you can expect that teams like Ferrari and Mercedes are going to increase the competition, which will put Red Bull in a very uncomfortable situation. Even about the swap between Lawson and Tsunoda, Verstappen has gone on to say that the difference between both of them isn't that big, and if the Japanese driver was in Racing Bulls, he would go faster. I really think so. That car is easier to drive than ours. I also noticed that when I talked to Liam last year, I didn't think the difference between him and Yuki Tsunoda was that big. Otherwise, the team wouldn't have made the choice to put him in a Red Bull either. The support from Horner wasn't as big as the one from Max, as the British man has gone on to say that the team would do anything in their power to support Liam's struggles. But it seems like there has been a very important reason revealed in Dubai's secret meeting about Lawson's future with Red Bull, which would definitely bring a lot to the argument as to why Liam was replaced in such a quick way. Yes, we do have examples of Red Bull drivers being fired in the middle of the season, with Gasly being the most recent example back in 2019. When the French driver was lapped by Verstappen in Hungary, it seemed like this was the breaking point for the Austrian team, who decided to put Albon in his position. Both of these drivers have found their homes somewhere else, which goes to show that just because Lawson was moved down and Tsunoda was put in his position doesn't automatically mean that this is the end of his career. But after all, a new problem has opened up for Red Bull. Can they build a car strong enough for Verstappen and his teammate? And if not, is this the sign that the four-time world champion is already looking at other teams as his possible home? We might have underestimated the power of Zak Brown's statement when he went on to say that Verstappen will definitely leave Red Bull at the end of the year for either Mercedes or McLaren. But looking at how things are right now, it might not be that crazy of a scenario at all. This is definitely something that worries the Austrian team much more than it should, because if it's not for Max, then they will definitely be midfield at their best. They would have to start rebuilding sooner rather than later, with the 2026 rules still being a huge unknown to the entire Formula One world. And remember, if you like this video, check out my others and subscribe.